Welcome to Energy Quest. This is a very exciting episode I've looked forward to forever because energy transition has been most topical as far as the energy sector is concerned. I have the most prestigious and experienced people in here that I know you viewers are going to love listening to. I have here Dr. Riverson Oppong. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Leslie. Good to see you.
Okay. And then Doris Edem Agbevivi from the Energy Commission. Yes, so Riverson is with the Ghana Gas, okay. He's in charge of commercial operations. And then we have Doris here, who is also in charge of the EV policy, right? Did I get it right? E-mobility under the Energy Commission. And then we have Dr. Robert Sogbadji. I have big doctors on the panel today. I'm pretty excited about it, right? So welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
You make me want to go for a doctor at this point.
Me too.
Right?
I mean, I don't know why the women in here are the only ones to know with a doctor title.
You don't need it.
You think so? We do.
It's a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
True. Really?
Yeah.
So you think we don't need it?
I think once you're able to execute what is required of you, that is it. So
Well, maybe they'll just give us airs, you know.
You only take doctorates when you want to impact knowledge in academia.
Okay.
Other than that, a master's is enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Leslie was so excited mentioning your doctors. She
Doctor.
emphasized
It feels
to
really
the extent
good.
that I was beginning to feel like I needed to add
You know
doctor
what?
to any.
I feel light. I mean, when I was mentioning the name, it was like the title was missing. Yeah. I think we should consider
I
it.
think
Doris.
you even forgot one of my titles. I'm now Osajifo.
Osajifo Dr.
Thank you.
Robert Sogbadji.
Thank you.
Yeah, for the energy awards.
You were there.
Oh yes.
Yes.
I was there. I was
Great.
there. And congratulations on that.
Thank
I think I should just start from your corner because that award does it all. It says it all. That you're really a true trailblazer. There's an energy transition. So Robert, with all your experience, you're working with a ministry now, right? What's your current role there?
So I'm a deputy director for power, coordinating the Ghana Nuclear Power Program as well as the energy transition from the Ministry of Energy under the Renewable Energy and Nuclear Unit.
Wow, that's a lot. that's really a lot. Kudos. I think you're making great impact. I mean,
Thank you.
Anybody who's heard of you, and I'm sure my viewers want to, just Google Doc here. He's doing amazing. You're doing really well. So thank you for making an impact in Ghana. And yes, it's felt across Africa as well. So help us. Let's take off from your end. What's the current state of the energy transition in Africa? Because when we talk energy transition, there's sometimes a feel of, is Africa really a part of this? You know? Because the energy is slightly different in the global north compared to our Ghana. Because of our true state, you know, it has economic implications, it has a whole lot. So what's the state of the transition in Africa now?
So I would say that Africa is already having its challenges in terms of energy poverty.
Yeah.
And when you come to emissions, we are the least in the world.
True.
In terms of emissions. Less than 4% of the world emissions is coming from Africa. So I would say we are more net zero than any other continent. But however, it's a global program, and you know the economics of the world may be tied up to the policies of energy transition. So Africa must position itself to be able to be relevant in terms of world trade, so that we are not caught unaware in terms of carbon tax and all that. But we also have to be sensitive in such a way that we don't have problem with energy poverty, because one African country, which I may go straight, like South Africa, decided to do its energy transition.
To run fast.
Forgetting its coal plants, not taking care of them, and currently they are having energy crisis. So just like Ghana, Ghana decided to do its energy transition framework and say we are going further than what the world is targeting by half century. And we get a lot of bashing from economic blogs that, I mean, you are not very ambitious, but we are looking at the economics. Energy transition is not cheap. And moreover, yes, you are very new in terms of oil and gas, and the continent is more of a baby in oil and gas apart from Nigeria. So if you take the global, let me say the continent on energy transition, we are taking it slowly. Even it's just recently that I even received, we received a letter from the AU to support other African countries to even now design their roadmap to energy transition.
So Ghana is ahead.
Yes, so Ghana is ahead. I mean, we had to quickly go ahead because over the years we realized that some interests have influenced our policies in line with what they want to offer us, and our policies haven't gone well. So when we go ahead and sponsor our own policies, we become realistic, and then we make realistic regimes. So in this our energy transition framework, you see that oil and gas is playing a role, nuclear is playing a role, renewable is playing a role. It's a whole energy mix, and how to do this sustainably. And I think the world sees it, and that is why Ghana is being tasked to also, support the other African countries to come out with realistic energy transition programs. And even after that, our energy transition framework, the other documents which have come up, which people look at and say, what document is this? But I hold on that document. But anytime His Excellency the President make reference to any data, those data, that data is coming from the energy transition framework. That target is coming from the energy transition framework. And I see it as a very living document. So energy transition, yes, the world is transitioning, but Africa must transition carefully so that we don't become worse off in terms of energy poverty, in terms of forgetting our resources, and also make sure that we trade among ourselves so that we don't have stranded assets. And then African trade thing is very, very timely.
Essential.
And we have to take advantage of this. Else, we'll be having stranded assets. We'll not be able to trade with Europe or anywhere because you are forced to cut down your emissions, which you virtually don't have. But my caveat is that definitely in the long term, we all have to transition, because I always say that we are all in the same boat, and there's a hole in the boat.
Yeah.
We didn't make the hole in the boat.
It doesn't
but
mean.
the boat is still taking up water. So if the boat sinks, we will all sink. So we all have to be committed to energy transition. But the commitment must come from those who are polluting more, and they should stop the emissions and make sure that they support the African continent so that we don't repeat what they did in the industrial age. Else we will have no choice in avoiding energy poverty. We will still dig up our oil and gas, we will still cut down our trees, and we will, until we are also rich enough. So
I like the point about transitioning sustainably.
Yeah.
Riverson, I want you to pick that up. And I've heard you on other forums, and I know you really have a strong stance on that. For us to transition sustainably, just like Doc is saying here.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's no single statement that came from me that I object to. And Africa is a very specific and particular case study, because we have an energy poverty to fight. So we're not even talking about energy transition, we're talking about energy sustainability. So in that, even as we transition, we also meet the goals and the demand for energy. And in other words, I mean that we are killing two problems with the stone here, because we want to solve the energy poverty issues and make it sustainable. And I mean, let me say this with all authority, that this is not the first time we are experiencing global energy transition. I mean, this is not the first time.
Okay.
Robert loves saying the Stone Age stuff. I'm surprised he didn't say it. Quoting the former energy minister of Kuwait. Yeah. But the point is, I hear people quote that one and just end there. It doesn't end there. That the Stone Age died not because there were lack of stones. You see,
okay.
So the oil age too will die because not because there's no oil. It will just die off. I agree and disagree. Okay, I agree and disagree. If you look at the history of energy transition, source of energy transitioned not based on policy as we see today. We transitioned from different sources of energy, from stone, wood, coal, whatever it is, because of sustainability at that time. So sustainability is simply talking about something I can have today and I can have tomorrow. And he started one example with South Africa, that they did not transition sustainably, so they have power access issues. When Europe realized that the gas from Russia was not coming, what did they do? They ran back to coal and nuclear. All right. Yeah. So they try to let us understand that sustainability is an issue. What helped us transition, or the cause or the factors of transition in the past, was based on purely availability in the economics.
Okay.
I repeat this. We transitioned from stone to kerosene to gasoline to whatever because they were available and affordable. That is why the LGD Goal 7 tried to talk about that. Yeah. But my worry is because it still talk about sustainability in the word sustainability.
No, say that again.
Now, the reliability that they brought in that LGD Goal 7, I mean, when I say someone is reliable, if I say Doris is reliable, it means I can access her anytime I want.
It's available.
And she's available for me. So it is two legs put in one, added affordability and the word sustainability itself. But these three keys amount to sustainability. Yeah. For an energy to be sustainable, it should first of all be available.
Okay.
First of all, it should be, that sort of energy should be available first.
Yes.
It should be accessible. I'm saying that because any source of energy can be available but not accessible. Geothermal.
Yeah.
It's not cheap to drill geothermal, man.
Yeah.
Hydrogen gas, it's not been cheap till now. Solar itself is not cheap.
Yeah.
All right. So it should be also affordable, because if the energy is available, accessible and affordable, you're not, curing energy poverty. And I can run an example. When you go to Kenya, their cost of electricity is 5 times our electricity price in Ghana here.
Yeah.
Because they run mostly on
geothermal.
And to drill geothermal is very expensive.
But Doc, is this not a process? That's what we're talking about. That's why it's called a transition. It's a process.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
That before, today, they've been serious about 4 times in energy transition to those sorts of work. But all of them happened not because of CO2 emission or carbon emission. It happened because of economy of scale. And today,
but at that time, the problem was not CO2. But
today, what?
But today, that problem is here.
Oh, CO2 didn't start today.
Of course, it was there,
Good.
but it compounds.
It compounds. So now, what I'm saying is that the attention on the transition was natural.
Yes. So
it wasn't. So my point is to cut.
Yeah. But where it was before. Yes.
Okay. So basically, you want to tell us that Africa, our emission, if you look at our emission profile, yes, 4% or even less, 3.8.
No,
right.
It's wrong.
So maybe we have a leeway to emit. Maybe. Okay. And then you also want to tell us that, okay, it has to find a way to be affordable, sustainable,
Yeah, it's sustainability.
But where we stand as Africa is this. When you take the continent as a whole, how are we ready to withstand if anything should go wrong that is due to climate? How are we ready? Now, when we look at the positives for us, it's there. But where do we stand when anything goes wrong? That is becoming the question that we ask ourselves. Let's look at the classic case of COVID, right? something happened around the world and one continent would have been hit very bad because we were not prepared, but for the mercies of God. So let's go to our risk mitigation, right? Let's go to our risk mitigation. How are we ready to do that? Now, when we pick on that, then I want to pick on economics of it. So the two of them, because that is why we are saying that let's transition. Okay, so when we are transition, let's also look at the people being able to be economically viable. Look at what's happening around the world right now. We have blogs that are trading now. Europe is creating itself as a blog, coming up with CBAM. Now, CBAM is an instrument that is now trying to tell you that even if you want to send anything from Africa, India, anywhere to Europe, you have to more like pay an emissions tax. What is the implication of that on our economics? The people here right now, even if we want to sell, who do we sell to? Go to Mozambique. Who is their puller? Who pulls for most of the people? In Europe, China, look at the trends. Now, if Europe is telling I won't take from you again, or for some reason steps on you, when they decided to say we are not going to invest in any more drilling, you see how it impacted us. So I think the conversation now becomes, how are we ready to withstand if the economics of it doesn't benefit us on one end, and when we are not very, very well prepared to mitigate the risks that would come as a result of it. And that becomes a conversation that we need to balance. It's a bicycle. I'm saying that.
That's what I was going with. So what I'm saying, I mean, these same Europeans that are not kind of hindering the sponsorship of oil and gas projects. Let's get him to say, Namibia and Mozambique that you just mentioned, they're investing so much money there.
Because they're going to benefit from it.
Exactly.
Again, that's what I'm saying. It's a chicken and egg thing.
So it is, and that's why there's a analytical insight, so that we know that from the African perspective, where do we stand? Because remember this fight, like you said, is a block. It's kind of a cartel staff. What did Norway say? What did Norway is based in Europe, but what did they say against all this hullabaloo? They are still advancing technologically to oil and gas. They're invested, okay? But let me say this: in the early days of 2010, 11, 12, you remember how it started? It started with the peak oil concept. That was the attack against the oil and gas industry. That oil is going to finish. I mean, go back to your history. All the conferences that today we have on energy transition, those are all talking about
peak oil.
Yeah, peak oil concept. But they realized that it wasn't true. They had to see to emission. Just to make sure that we cut oil products.
Are you trying to say that the CO2 is just conceptual and not a reality?
It's not conceptual. This thing around, they've hit it big. They've hit it big because it's true.
That's just what I want you to establish.
That is true. And it's true.
That's what this is. So if it is true, then it has repercussions.
No, it does. And so what I'm saying that it's not today that this conversation should have begun. It should have begun from day one.
If the best time that anything had to be done was yesterday and it wasn't done, then the best time is today.
He said.
So why would
the Europeans have benefits so much from Africa, crude oil and gas, and it's time for Africa to enjoy. And now you say
I
work too hard because I believe that we should be careful, like Doris said, and it's a fact, we need to be careful. Imagine snow falls today in Ghana. I remember my first time in Russia. It snowed so heavy that I thought I would not go to work. They called me. Oh, yes, it's snowing. I said, what we eat? Imagine. How you going to manage it? And that's just one of the stuff that was mentioned. It could be a strategy, a strategy to Africa. But the point is, what I'm saying that I'm not saying that I support crude oil exploration regardless. The same people preaching against it are still investing. One time, I'm writing a book. Should I stay or should I leave? How long would hydrocarbon industry will be useful or relevant? And through my research, and I see how much investment these guys are still making currently.
There's a reason for that, and that's why I wanted to come.
I'll get there.
That's why I wanted to come in. That's really where I wanted to come in, because I I think when Leslie tries to talk about the energy transition on the continent as it is, right, and where all our transition plan is. I mean, AU said it at COP28 that they're going to get African countries to all write their transition plans. It was agreed back in Dubai, and I knew it was coming down to get every country to write. What we're seeing in Dubai is this CCUS, right? And there is a reason for that. I believe that this may not, I may not agree with the Kuwait president that the oil industry may be going down because it may end not because of lack of oil. I mean, if I want to quote it from that perspective, it's not because it won't end that way. It probably is what will challenge the oil and gas industry in innovation.
Correct.
What we saw in Dubai when it came to Saudi Arabia is what I want to put on the table. Saudi Arabia exhibited some of the best when it came to CCUS, right? You see the UAE pushing CCUS. Okay, so there were 3 countries on most of the panels I sat.
Let me cut you there. You have to explain to the viewers what CCUS is.
Okay, carbon capture, utilization, and storage.
Okay.
Now, we're saying that when you drill, I mean, they are all oil people, so they can explain further, but we're saying when you drill, you are emitting, right, somehow. So we are saying, can we now say, if you're getting the CO2 in the air, and that is what is causing, because it's the greenhouse gas that we are emitting, how do we now find a way to capture that carbon so that we can still drill while capturing the carbon? So then it doesn't mean that we necessarily have to stop drilling, but just find a way to mitigate. It's like how we do the gas here, and then what do you do on the fields? The gas, flaring gas, or you decide not to flare gas, right? Or you capture that and use it, you re-inject it. So this is the concept if it comes to carbon dioxide, right? Now, if you want to promote the fact that people should still use their resources and not get stranded, as Robert mentioned, those are some of the challenges we're going to face: stranded assets that are not being used, and which if we don't take it, we're going to have all this oil and gas left. So the 3 countries that are pushing, that were pushing at COP, of course, from what I studied, were the US, Saudi Arabia, and Dubai, and so many other smaller oil and gas countries. There's a reason for it, because if they can successfully get that innovation through, the implications are that the industry can still thrive, balancing act, whilst also getting a way to not only capture the carbon that is coming from just their drilling, but capture carbon that has been stored over the years to help us to get back to where we are. So I think so much that this is just a way of challenging the oil industry, the oil and gas industry, and that challenge becomes...
that has been my point to that.
Hold on.
You know what?
You see,
if I'm coming, you did mention that all these countries, Norway and all these developed worlds, are still investing. And that's the point she's bringing here. So how are they investing?
So that see, I think I'm not ending, and I'll go and come back. But
okay.
CCUS is not new in the oil and gas industry.
It's not, not at all. 2016,
I made a publication at IPTC in Thailand on CCUS. But that time we called it carbon capture sequestration, CCS. That time, that's how you called it. It is a pure reservoir research that the Middle East we've done Dubai many years back. But the intention was to capture the CO2, store it, and inject it. To increase
the flow of oil.
So this research is not now. It is just
the purpose was just different, but it was in existence. Okay.
But not the new applications.
Yes.
I'll get there.
Not the reservoir now.
I'm coming.
Okay.
So at World Petroleum Congress in Canada last year, this same Middle East guys, and I made a presentation of CCUS now with them. They are capturing the carbon, producing carbonated charcoal from it.
Economics there.
Exactly. So again, you see, that's why I say I wear 2 hats. So if I say I wear 2 hats, what I'm saying is that it's still possible to produce crude oil.
Yeah.
And it's still good to have renewables set in to compensate what the crude oil cannot do.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we are all looking for innovation. Things that we can, source of energy that we could deploy. Because I'm thinking of bringing, installing solar in my house. Why am I doing that? Why? I don't believe in oil and gas anymore. I do. Yeah. But see, if you are living in a country, and I'll talk about one of the things that she said again. If you're living in a country where electricity is just for lighting, not for industrialization, you've missed it. No country emits CO2 more than China.
Yeah.
No country has, the highest amount of installed solar than China, and no country uses coal than China.
And no country has the highest electric vehicles
than China. Thank you so much.
So you see, that tells you a lot about China.
They're thinking like me.
They're thinking opportunity, not concept.
They're thinking balance, and that's what I was trying to say again.
But I really see opportunity
It's a balance
there.
because Ghana, as we stand as a country, we have gas in abundance.
Yeah.
China, as they stand, have coal in abundance. China is literally the one that supplies a lot of the solar panels that we are using down here. And Europe knows it. That's why it's become a whole conversation around that Europe knows it very well. Now, China is producing most of the solar panels that you have.
Yeah.
Today, if you take the World Global EV Outlook, China is literally has overtaken Norway. Norway is like a drop in the ocean now when it comes to those using and producing. China not only produces the biggest number of electric vehicles, but also use those practicalizing it.
Yeah.
China is using coal to be able to industrialize.
Thank you.
Gas to some extent to industrialize. Again, I'm not saying that one should come in totally when the other. We cannot finish feeding all the people on the street before we say we have finished SDG, no hunger. We can't finish that. That's again. So if we say we wait till we are not using gas again, then we start using electric vehicles, we've lost it. Because
I really like
that is coming in.
So that takes me to my next question, that we have the issue of, is Africa ready? Is this practical? Is it, all that? But that there are challenges, yes. Yeah. But there are great opportunities in there.
Huge ones. Very huge ones.
Yeah, amazing opportunities. I think that Africa can equally develop with. So you're worried about economics in saying put out the hydrocarbon industry, and we don't want to put it out, but the opportunities in the transition, right?
Yes.
Would you want to talk about?
That is why Ghana is looking at the petroleum hub, corporation. We see it as an opportunity to be able to process our crude oil into petrochemicals, because even the electric vehicles will be made out of petrochemicals. Even the lithium battery will be put in a box, which is made up of petroleum products. So, in the face of the energy transition, as an African company, have to position itself that, okay, we have lithium, we have magnesium, we have bauxite, we have all the other minerals, those critical minerals. How are we positioning ourselves to be relevant? Are we exporting our things wrong? No. We have to make sure that there is industry to reprocess this, to process these materials and to finish products, to send it back to us, to sell. Human resource, we have to also make sure that we build our human resource to be able to build these new technologies. If their carbon capture technology is designed, sometimes most of the things we use here are designed to according to the weather that is in Europe. Yeah. So when you bring it here in the temperate region, then you're having problems with ICs and all those things. But if we've trained the human resource, set up industry to be able to come up with a carbon capture and use technology which is indigenous to African climates, then you know that we are sustainably exploring our petroleum products. I saw a map which is a pipeline right from the coast of Nigeria all the way to Tunisia. And then I asked myself, if we say energy transition and gas is not good, why the pipeline? Who are we selling it to? If you say this thing is not good, you better keep it in the ground.
So, Doc, just before you continue, remember the West African Pipeline Project?
Yes.
And Leslie, it will interest you to know that this pipeline was supposed to go through West Africa to Mauritius. Is it really? No, which was in the West, Mauritania or Mauritius?
Mauritania.
Good, that one.
Oh, yeah.
But why did it end? Takrady here.
Yes.
Now, the Western enclave.
Yeah, from the Elf, which is Nigeria, to Ghana. It ended here in Takrady.
Why?
Why? Ask yourself. But now, when Europe needed gas,
They want to extend it.
we've been able to find money
Find ways
and ways and means to now
plan.
construct pipeline from Nigeria to supply them gas.
But you didn't find money. You didn't have money initially when you were building these pipelines. You are usually funded. You You get investment from
Now,
that side.
that's
Now,
not free.
Now
Hold on.
see-
Hold on.
see-
It's not
see-
free.
see-
But the person who feeds you, the person who brings you money, has
That's
a
what
say.
I'm saying.
Not necessarily feeders.
No, it's
I'm using
Because it's business, right?
But then hold on. It's
World
business
interest.
only when I am benefiting and you are benefiting. Europe did what they did because they needed to benefit.
Yep.
And
No, but even when they fund us, we both benefit.
No, but then again, even when they fund you, they always look at their interests first.
That is true.
Which I don't see anything wrong with. I think that is how life is.
They will
supposed
never
to be
fund
run.
the nuclear power plant.
So then, when
Weeks ago, we were talking about children. There's nothing like that.
Yes.
So everything is doing for you. Everything, any country up north is doing for you. Of course, they
No,
have
but I like
benefit
to point
do
to
it.
what he mentioned about where the pipeline got to. It wasn't only because of money. You know, we deal with a lot of political issues when it comes to pipelines moving to us.
Okay,
Since Sudan through to Uganda, they were trying to do a pipeline, right? Starting some of these meetings with their government. And I know clearly that when it got to a point where you're having political issues now, the money even hasn't even arrived and political issues that don't allow it.
Yeah.
So it's a mix of economics and the
Uganda
political
sued,
side of it.
Kenya.
So you have to look at it from that perspective.
For the
Pipeline issue.
Yeah, for the pipeline.
Kenya is in court with Uganda.
Because of that same pipeline. Again,
Yeah.
that's what I want to point out. It's not, I just didn't
But
bring them into
in
the
West Africa,
conversation.
there was no political issue. The issue,
Are you sure of that?
I'm sure of that. There was no political issue because, no, I'm sure.
We're in West Africa.
No, seriously.
We're in West Africa.
No. I sit with them. There was no political issue. It was just Shell was no more interested. Because Shell was there. Not because of political issue, because of interest.
Yes,
What
but
kind
then
of
again,
interest?
Investment interest.
Okay.
You know,
again, we just pointed it out again that it's a mix of the two. The fact that they are not benefiting.
I agree with you, Doris, that it's political and then interest. But I'm just telling you that the West African issue is not political.
So as I was saying, the pipeline, which is constructed all the way to Tunisia, and which means that the Tunisian gas pipeline will join it. Now all the gas in the West African region will be harvested. Now we are being advised to go solar and wind. That means that how do we industrialize? So Africa must. I mean,
No, but what about finding opportunity in every situation?
so you see, somebody thinks that
Is Africa giving all this gas for free?
it's for sale.
Business. It's opportunity
But
for Africa
somebody
still.
thinks that it's a business opportunity, but energy security is more business than selling your fuel raw. If I'm able to-
Of course.
if I'm able
But
to-
she made a very critical point. Stop mentioning China.
Yes.
Okay. We analyze how China is still in their coal space, yet they are still dominating in EVs, in solar, in all through, because they're dealing with opportunity.
before you
Economics.
export your gas,
So yes.
you should have enough. I mean, to feed your industry.
Okay,
Then your
before.
excess gas you can export.
Oh, okay. So your point is
So
that
my point is that-
we do not even have enough.
You understand
Same here.
Nigeria is already having a shortage of electricity, which shouldn't happen because they have enough gas
For
to
Nigeria,
generate
it's
a lot
just a
of
comedy of
electricity.
errors. Yeah.
Ghana's gas is a holding home. You understand? So if
But this man is flaring Ghana's gas.
not
you know.
really flaring, but it
He
is.
is. He is.
If you say no,
He is. He is. We are in a conversation from
Okay, it's not
flaring
flaring.
Ghana. He is.
It's
We
not
are
flaring.
flaring gas. We are flaring gas. But let's not lose. Let's not continue.
So you see, now if we are able to build that pipeline, they present to you that it is an opportunity to have a market to sell gas and get money. But then you also have energy poverty.
Yeah.
But if you're able to use that energy from your gas to process your bauxite, to do the whole aluminium chain, to be able to have your iron ore industry running, you create job, you create finished products.
Okay.
And then the amount of money you are going to
My
get.
only problem with your point here, okay, if I want to play a devil's advocate, is that Africa has always had this gas. You did not do you didn't consider your bauxite opportunities and what's not you're talking about now. Why do you now raise that when another market opens because it's going out there? So we should have explored this all this while.
When you are not ready to process, when you are not ready to process, keep it in the ground.
No, but
when you are ready, process it.
Yeah, let
it's true. This lithium argument, we are going lithium. If we are not ready to have a lithium refinery to leave it in the ground.
Thank you.
So that's the same way I'm saying that if we have gas and we are not ready to utilize it to generate energy
is there any document that says that all the gas will go through those pipelines?
I sort of don't agree with
So that diversification, the issue is that to Africa to control it. We can't just say that.
Normally don't sit at this contract agreement table. And you'll be surprised that the kind of contractual agreement you will sign, gas will be flowing through that pipeline and you can't tap it because the contractual gas is going. And you have no access to tap. And he's a gas man here. And he knows that those kind of deal happens.
Riverson, what would you say on that?
Today you hear Wapko says, pay me tomorrow, I'll cut you off. Because you have signed, like he said, an obligation which Ghanaians don't want to hear take or pay, or something called a firm agreement. So you've actually promised or voted for a firm deliverables that everyday supply means 60 mm scarf. But listen, these Europeans buying the gas or shipping the gas to Europe, they have a high demand for it. It is only in Africa that we don't have demand for our own resources.
That's my point too.
That being said, revenue made from our resources, that's crude oil and gas for now. And I was talking to the NNPC guys, and I told them, I asked them, the revenues you've made all these years, can you account for how you've utilized them?
Oh.
Just last 2 months, 40 million just got lost from NNPC and nobody was held responsible. $40 million, not naira. So it tells you how they are mismanaging the oil fund. Today, like Doris said,
$40 million in Nigeria.
It just got lost. And it's not money.
There's no money. That's okay.
But in Ghana, how will break? Yes. In Ghana, it's money. Because in Ghana, how will break? Yes, of course. But for them, it's nothing.
It's gone.
For them, it's like $10,000 lost. In their coffers. But Nigeria suffers a lot of mismanagement for many years. Nigeria fled gas for more than 50 years. Who were the operators?
Sure.
Shell, Total, Chevron. And they fled it. They knew the importance of that gas, but they still fled it.
Yeah.
Now that Africa knows the importance of gas, they are capping it. What does it tell you?
Okay, Doris.
No, I'm coming. I'm not there. So the point is, listen, I always make this point.
I think I'll take it from Riverson.
Yes, please do.
It's not done. Let me
be done. Please go ahead.
No, I think I just want to build from the opportunities, right?
Yeah.
That some of the opportunities that this energy transition, I don't know if you've looked at the framework, but some of the opportunities that it's going to present to us are not things we are used to. So I just think that it's cautious enough to say that we have to be open-minded to the things that this transition framework is presenting to us. He has always quoting, it's 562 billion. It's 562 billion. And we just quote this money around and think that government needs to go cough 562. They don't need to go and cough anything like that. It is a thing that is public-private partnerships all over. One of the numbers, example, the 7.2 billion that goes to charging infrastructure, I hear people quote it all the time to us. What does that mean? Yeah. Government is not going to get that money. They don't have the money to even go and cough it. We are talking about investment opportunity. For somebody who says Ghana's energy transition framework, what does it represent to them? It's an investment opportunity. That is the biggest thing on the list, is an investment opportunity. So if you're coming in, you're looking at, if this country has an investment to the tune of 7 billion that we can pump in to deploy charging stations across the country, what does it mean to me? I can come in and do that business. See, the opportunities run not just across that. When we talk about critical minerals today, that's why I said I don't solely agree with Doug that keep it in the ground if you know. I'm not that person. I believe that you should just find a way to negotiate well, let it benefit you. Namibia started when, and then all of a sudden they said, no, we are not giving you the critical minerals again. There was a reason for it, because they said they wanted the value chain to go through. They wanted to be able to make it work, either create the batteries. But this same transition framework for us, as he said, the petroleum hub is one of the opportunities. But the biggest one even is the fact that it's providing us with the opportunity to either liaise with countries that would benefit us in our EV transition. I was talking to India, and India asked a question: what would it take for Ghana to ship lithium to India? Again, a conversation.
And you said,
and then,
no,
hold on, listen to it.
We've been doing that for ages.
Hold on,
be patient.
Hold on, listen to this. His proposal didn't land. His proposal didn't end there. It was actually at COP, one of the ZEV transition frameworks, and then he said, what would it take if Ghana should take lithium to India? And we have a contract such that India produces this fixed number of EVs to come into Africa. Because one of the huge challenges of EV for Africa is the availability of the cars to us. To get an EV to drive in this country, the number of years it took me, and I thought I was the only one, until the UNDP, Rob, who is in Kenya, also told me of a story in getting an EV to Kenya a couple of years ago.
But
why is that?
Do you know that you would have gotten more cars if you process the lithium and ship the batteries to them?
And that is why, and that is what, allow her to land. Allow her to land. But then that is what I'm saying, that because there is that challenge of us not getting the ZEVs, again, ZEVs, zero emission vehicles, not getting the vehicles into our part of the world. But without the vehicles, I'm not just saying that let's use solar alone to drive the vehicles. He knows me. I'm always saying that use the gas. Let's get electricity running. Let's be able to use, because gas is less emissions than you would tell me to go coal. We're not going coal. So we are transitioning. The COP mandate that came out saying transition away from fossil. It didn't say stop, right? So we are transitioning. If we're able to use, it's a process. So if we're able to use our gas to get electricity, and we are saying that as a country we can be able to feed on the output of that, I say it's a plan. What happens when we don't have the vehicles? And that comes the opportunity of, as he said, we're using the critical minerals that are coming here. I hear saying 40%, almost 50% of the world's critical minerals is coming from this continent.
Wow.
This continent, almost half of what we need to do.
And what are we doing with it?
And we can do anything. Literally, that is what is driving it.
I don't believe in that statistics.
Yeah, I know it's
more minerals.
No, China even agreed to that statistic. No, China agreed to that statistic. So China is planning to come here.
You see, they want you to feel you have more. When you have been depleted, then you are, then you will. Don't think that way. Don't think that way. Chile as a country on its own. South America even has more deposits as we are sitting there. Again, China agrees to the fact that they are also still trying to find critical minerals. It's not like they are not doing it. Oh, China is still exploring. Right? China is still exploring. Right? Now, their numbers have to be verified through somehow, right? Whatever numbers. It's easier to come to Africa to take our raw material.
Yeah, but then,
don't be sentimental. I want to take my conversation still an opportunity.
It's a framework. It's a framework you have built. No man is an island. It's a framework you have built. That your framework will die before it actually bets something if you don't look at the possibilities of collaboration. And that's why I'm saying you cannot say that, oh, Africa will just keep our...
It's an efficient collaboration.
It has to be, and that's where you said that we don't sit in the rooms when the contracts are
built. Looking at the value chain, if you build a processing plant, you create employment. And you see, and you give those jobs, and now you get a finished product.
Nobody's stopping that.
No.
That's why we are discussing this here.
You see,
so now you've established that we need to build a processing plant. That's an opportunity. We have just mentioned, and our viewers have heard that investor is listening to
based on history
and things that, oh yes,
today we have public charging stations in the country. Who are the ones
based on history?
Who are the ones?
We get jobs. We get jobs.
It's the private sector that is now running our charging station, because that's what I've been promoting. It will be the private sector. Yes, it's the private sector. And what does that mean? For every charging station, if you even have 4 or 5 nozzles, What does that mean to the person?
That
He's
is
employing
different.
people. No, I'm coming. Again, that is an opportunity.
That's
We're talking
what I
about
agree
it.
with you.
Yes,
I agree.
so once it's the private sector, it's not a case that you can clearly state that, oh, this is not happening or that's not happening. The private sector is the one that's going to lead this, and that is job creation for the country.
You see?
In a way, I know that always we look at job creation in terms of, oh, it has to be, oh, when there's a production line. This February, there's going to be 2, if not one, that has totally been confirmed, assembly plants for e-vehicles, right, up in Tama. So, yes, I mean, these guys, when they started, was 2024 when I saw their first documentation. Now we are in it was in 2021, now we are in 2024, right? And they have it down. These assembly plants.
So they have the assembly plant ready?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. When is it taking off?
It's going to be inaugurated here in February. So if that is, again, aside the fact that we have all of this VWs and then the Toyotas, and I mean, just last week.
Is that EV assembly?
No. I mean, but then, no, what is happening in February is EV assembly. I'm talking about the VWs and those. They are not.
The existing ones.
Yes, but it was just last week they all agreed to the fact that yes, it's because we need to find a way to make the policy more investor attractive to those who come in to build the EVs, right? Again, and that is where this conversation of critical minerals and how it fits into the whole.
So that's one EV assembly plant. The second is also when?
And the ones that are coming in that I'm talking about now are EVs. So you know, currently, Ghana as it stands, the people here assemble electric bikes here. You know, from the Kofa to the Wahoo to the solo taxis, they all assemble electric bikes here. Those are here. They are doing it in this country. And that's why when the incentive, the government incentive on the parts was announced, it tells you immediately this is trying to push that industry to take off. Now, but for every electric bike, let's say a normal Kofa electric bike, you have 2 batteries. That will possibly be 2 kilowatt, 2 kilowatt. That's like 4 kilowatt worth of battery. If, per what we are saying, they can go further and say, we are building a plant here for that.
They can make
you
the
see
batteries.
where that, but it has to start from somewhere that there is a market for it, right? When people come in, they have to see a market, something happening. Just last week, the UK brought a list of investors at Movenpick. We were talking the same issue, that presenting to them what it means for the EV market. When we have currently all the manufacturing plant, assembly plants, moving and adding 1 or 2 hybrids or fully electric vehicles onto their plants, and they looked at all of that. But in terms of how it will benefit them, again, that's the conversation we'll be having all along. It's a conversation.
Can I come in here? Before I forget this very important thing. I think we should also not look at market availability before we start innovation. Because what I can say for a fact is that gas market, for example, is never there until the gas is in the market.
Thank you.
So I believe that we should bring the initiatives, we should implement the innovations, and the market will be driven by itself. I mean, I'm not saying kind of have a plug-in or force a market, but for me, if you make your bicycle or your solar stuff affordable, available at all time, or in other words,
it will
reliable,
be patronized.
It's a very important point.
You know, the nuclear conversation comes on same when some people say, why are we working at having nuclear in? But once there's nuclear, then naturally industries would have to grow. I wanted Doc to speak about the nuclear aspect of the transition, but let
continues. When we started e-mobility initiative, the Drive Electric, that was in 2019 when this was launched, and some top, it's not like small people, top officials, all didn't believe that e-mobility can become a conversation in Ghana. So I have seen the worst of it, I've heard the worst of it. When we first presented incentive documents to Ken Mufuriata and his team at Ministry, it was 2020. For you to be hearing incentive announced in 2024, it took 4 years, almost. I mean, it was in 2023. So I agree with you totally. I don't believe that a market should be available for you to innovate. I agree that start however it is and scale up. So now that we have the bikes that are ongoing, whatever they have done can show the world that this is what is happening. Then we scale up, right? That becomes the conversation. And that pushes our framework forward. Without starting, it will be like we'll be hands crossed, waiting for somebody to bring a very huge investment before we push.
And that somebody is not coming. You have improved readiness.